couple weeks ago, I put out a poll on the channel asking which video would you guys want. It was between some other option I can't remember and my top 10 comic book movie hot takes. Well, you guys chose the hot takes. So today, I'm going to give you my top 10 comic book movie hot takes. Said hot takes 3 times in the first 20 seconds. This is going to be a fun video. Tell me down below in the comment section, what are your top 10 hot takes or just some hot takes that you have in the MCU? To clarify, a hot take is an opinion that doesn't really mesh with a lot of other people's opinions. So, like, movies that I love that a lot of people don't love, or even there's some movies that I love that some people just like, they're always just hot takes and just opinions that differentiate from other opinions of the normal person. So I would love to know your hot takes in the comment section. And with that said, number 10, and it's only going to be number 10 because I used to feel like this was a pretty big hot take, but I feel the more the MCU goes along and the more everything else goes along, I feel like it's a little bit less of a hot take each time. Number 10, Iron Man 3 and Ant-Man are both top 15 MCU movies. Now, I've watched a lot of people's tier lists, a lot of people's rankings on the MCU. I mean, since Fantastic Four came out, we got one by Sean Chandler, one by Cody Leach, one by Austin Burke, and they've all actually kind of spoke pretty highly on Iron Man 3, and I think that Iron Man 3 is a movie that just kind of gets better in people's heads the more the time goes. I've loved it ever since the first time I watched it. I think that it's a great Shane Black spy movie inside the MCU. Tony Stark actually being Tony Stark and not Iron Man, actually having to use his brain is great. To not say that he doesn't use his brain in any other movies, but actually like having to build other stuff besides the Iron Man suit is some great stuff. I'm not even mad at the Mandarin twist. I never really thought the Mandarin twist was all that bad. So and especially because in Shang-Chi, it's elevated, even though his humor doesn't really work. He's still a cool character in Shang-Chi. So I always just loved Iron Man 3, and it's always been a top 15 MCU movie. Same thing with Ant-Man. It's just a fun heist movie inside the MCU. It connects to the MCU by they have to steal something from Hydra, and that's what it is. You get the heist, you get all the fun hijinks that you normally get in a heist movie. You love Paul Rudd, you love these characters, there's some cool action sequences, and Yellow Jacket is a great villain. So ever since the movie came out, ever since I went to the theater to see it, I've always loved Ant-Man, and it's still currently a top 15 MCU movie. My number 9, the DCEU didn't have a lot of bad movies, it was just a bad universe. If we look at the DCEU, there are tons of fantastic movies inside the DCEU. Not only, and I'm not going to really touch on this because it's going to be another addition to this list, but you got Zack Snyder's movies, which I think a lot of them are great. You get the 2 Aquaman movies. Aquaman 1 is a great movie. Aquaman 2 is more forgettable. You get Shazam. Shazam's a great movie. Shazam 2 is forgettable. You get Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman's a great movie. Wonder Woman 2 is not. Other movies in there, you get Suicide Squad, which is a terrible movie, and The Suicide Squad, which is a great movie. So you just get so many great movies. The Flash, which will also be on this list. So like, I recently did a YouTube short where I ranked the DCEU along with The Batman and Superman. And I realized that there's a ton of these movies that I just really enjoy. Some comic book movies that are just really fun for me and I really do like. So I think that the DCEU has tons of great movies. Just as a whole, as a universe, felt like it all just didn't connect together and it just didn't have the flair that the MCU did. I mean, when we get to the Justice League, it's a more unique version of it, but like it doesn't do great setup like the MCU did. You get a lot of solo movies for all of these characters. They just don't ever build towards something big. So as a universe, it doesn't work, but the movies are movies I really, really enjoy. Number 8, Captain America, the Winter Soldier, tiny bit overrated. Not saying I dislike the movie. Not saying it's a bad movie. I'm just saying that it's not as good as everybody says. I see that people have it in their top 3. Most people have it in their top 3 MCU movies. This is just barely in the top 20 of the MCU for me. And that's because the first Avengers is better, Civil War is better, all in my opinion. It is the 3rd best Captain America movie because it doesn't steep as low as Brave New World did. But I did really enjoy this movie still. I think it has a lot of great stuff in here. The Hydra stuff, hijacking S.H.I.E.L.D., some of the best stuff in the MCU. Winter Soldier, great villain. Bucky's character arc throughout the entire universe, fantastic. There's some great high-intensity action sequences in here. The relationship between Steve and Natasha, just some great, great, great stuff. So there's so much stuff in here. This is still an A- movie. Just a lot of people have it in their top 5, and I never felt that way towards the movie. I feel like the pacing of the movie is just so fast, and there's so much going on within the movie, that it definitely feels a little, not rushed, but exhausting. Every time I watch the movie, I'm just a little exhausted after watching it, because it's just so high intensity all throughout, to where when I choose to watch a Captain America movie, I always choose to watch Civil War, because I feel like that movie's pacing is much smoother than this one, where this one's just such breakneck speed that I feel like the pacing doesn't quite work for the movie. That's what makes it just a little bit overrated. So it's still a great movie. It's overrated because it's not top 10 MCU material. At least it never has been for me. Number 7, Tom Holland's Spider-Man trilogy is the best trilogy inside the MCU. I said it, I'm going to forever keep this opinion. I rewatched Spider-Man Homecoming last night. Perfect movie. I'm actually going to have a video come out hopefully later this week, because I really want to talk about the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. I'm watching Far From Home later today. I'm watching No Way Home tomorrow, hopefully. And I'm going to talk about them because these are movies I want to talk about. Because I love these movies. Whether you get Spider-Man Homecoming, where there's just some great action in the movie, great character arc with Peter. A lot of people say, oh, it's Tony Stark number 4, Iron Man number 4 a lot. And I disagree, because you couldn't have this arc of Peter Parker if you didn't have the stuff with Iron Man. Peter Parker thinks he's useless without the suit, and by the end of the movie, he's just proved to himself that it's not the suit, it's him. He's the hero. It's just a perfect character arc. Spider-Man Far From Home. Great character arc, even though the movie's a little bit wonky. Not the best character arc, but when you get to No Way Home, a lot of people say, oh, it's just cameo porn. You got all the villains and you got the other Spider-Man. Highly disagree, because what happens in that movie? You get the finished arc of Peter. He fully becomes Spider-Man. He fully becomes a hero. So it is just quite literally a perfect trilogy, in my opinion. I cannot wait for Brand New Day. All the set photos are absolutely making me excited. So I love this trilogy. It will forever be the best trilogy inside the MCU. And I don't get why a lot of people disagree with my opinion. Number 6, and this is one we're not going to spend that much time at, because I've done a lot of videos talking about this. Number 6, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is overrated. Because I recently ranked James Gunn's movies, I recently ranked the MCU team movies, and I recently ranked all the movies, so we're not going to spend too much time on this one, but I feel like there's plenty of great stuff in here. The Ravager stuff with Rocket, Groot, Yondu, some great stuff inside this franchise. The ending, where you get the reveal of Ego, great action sequences, Yondu's sacrifice, great stuff. Some of the best stuff inside the franchise. It's one of the funniest movies inside the MCU. But I feel the movie, either the pacing is either dragging and very slow, or it's way too fast, where the first act just goes by in such a breeze, where I'm just taken completely out of the movie every time I watch it in that first act. And then the middle of the movie, like when you're on the planet with Ego, you got Peter and Ego just tossing around a ball, talking about things they missed in life. And then you get to the Ravager stuff, and it's just some awesome MCU stuff. But then you get an Ego and Peter tossing around a ball. I love you, Dad. I love you too, son. It's just awful pacing inside the movie. And it takes me out of the movie. I can't really enjoy a lot of stuff in the movie, because there are either sequences where I think it's moving way too fast, or I think it's way too slow. It's still a good movie. I'd still give it 3.5 stars. But it's definitely overrated, where people have this at 5 stars. I never, ever have felt that way towards this movie. But every time I do rewatch it, I like it a little bit more each time. Our top 5 Tobey Spider-Man movies. Guess what? They're overrated. Man, this is getting hot and spicy in here. I never liked the movies growing up. I watched the first one several times, and I thought it gets better each time. But I was never the biggest fan growing up. Spider-Man 2, I never really liked. And I always said Spider-Man 3 was my favorite. And then, either last year or 2 years ago, I don't remember, when I did a Spider-Man ranking on my old channel, I watched all of these movies, and I think Spider-Man 1 finally hit the point to where I think it's a great movie. I think it's a great origin story. You care about the character. The Green Goblin villain is great. So that stuff in that movie I loved. Spider-Man 2 is a good movie. It's got a great villain. It's got a great arc. But I feel like the movie runs a little long, and by the third act, I'm a little taken out of the movie. And then Spider-Man 3, you've heard it all before. My opinion isn't really hot on that, because I mean, it's just Spider-Man 3. A lot of people don't love that movie. But, like, I never feel like I love this trilogy. If I'm going to watch a Spider-Man movie, I'm almost never going to be in the mood to turn on Tobey's movies or Andrew's movies. Even though Andrew, I think, is the best Spider-Man, I'm never really going to turn on those movies. I'm always just going to either watch the Spider-Verse movies or the MCU Spider-Man movies. I've been in a Spider-Man mood with all the Brand New Day stuff, and it recently being Spider-Man Day, and I didn't want to watch any of these. I wanted to watch the MCU Spider-Man, and that's what I'm watching this week. I never really was the biggest fan of Tobey's movies, even though I think the first one's great, but the trilogy as a whole just doesn't come together for me. Number 4, I love The Flash. From 2023, I believe. Yeah, 2023. It's a great movie, and I don't get why people don't love it. Because, like, yeah, you get CGI Christopher Reeve, rest in peace, terrible decision in the movie. Yeah, you get some cameos in here. But who cares when the movie is overall a story about a guy trying to save his parents? And it is just such a great story. I get people don't like Ezra Miller. I get that. I don't think he's all that bad in the role. I think he actually has some pretty funny comedic moments. But I don't think he's a great guy, obviously. But I do like him as a Flash. There's some great action sequences in here. As a Flashpoint story, I think it's great. We actually get to see Zod and all the world and the world without superheroes. It's a great story. And then at the core of it, the emotional core, where you get to that third act, and I'm in tears every single time that he says goodbye to his mother. I revisited it a week after The Flash, or after Superman, and I cried during that scene, like genuinely tears running down my face. It's such a beautiful scene, and the emotions in the movie are great. I still really dig the cameos, unless you get CGI Christopher Reeve, which is just an awful, awful decision. I don't get why people think this is an awful movie. I love this movie, and no one's ever going to convince me it's not a great movie. Number 3, Captain Marvel is a great MCU movie. And before we continue any further, if you would, go down below and hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and hit the bell so you never miss another fun video like this. And comment down below, I would love to know what are some MCU, DCEU, just normal superhero movie hot takes from you guys. Captain Marvel is a great MCU movie. I didn't like it leaving the theater. But then when Disney Plus came out, I'm not going to lie here, okay? I was grounded. All right, I was a little bit of a crazy wild child. And in 2019, what's that? 6 years ago? I'm 19. I was 13. I was grounded. Apparently, I wasn't allowed to watch TV for 6 months. But my mom bought Disney Plus. She turned this movie on, and we watched it. And then the next day, she turned it on, we watched it. And it got better and better each time we watched it. And now, it's to the point to where it's one of my favorites. I really do enjoy this movie. I love the twist of the Skrulls. I think the more the movie goes on, the more the mystery unravels. I think it is really effective. I think there's some pretty cool action sequences in here, some cool CGI. Seeing Nick Fury in the 90s is really cool. Even though I don't like how the cat scratched his eye, and that's how he lost his eye. It's kind of pathetic in that way. But I mean, it's just a story that I thought was really cool and gets better each time I watch it. And the ending is pretty cool you get to see Ronan, you get to see the Kree, you get to see all that. So some really cool stuff in this movie, and it gets better every time I watch it. I revisited it last year, and I'm like, I really love this movie. 4.5-star movie. Love Captain Marvel. Number 2, and these are both director, my 2 and number 1 are both director hot takes of comic book movies. Number 2, I still have faith in the Russos. And why the hell has everybody lost faith in the Russos? I don't get it, man. I really don't get it, man. Look at the Russos. Captain America the Winter Soldier, which I already discussed, I think is overrated, but I still think it's a very great movie. Captain America Civil War, which in my opinion is the best MCU movie. Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Endgame. Some of the best MCU movies. That's my 2 and 3. That's my 1, 2, and 3 right there. And people don't think they're going to make a good movie with Doomsday? What? Like, yeah, I get it. Their stuff outside the MCU has been rough. Electric State, not very good. The Gray Man was a completely watchable movie, mainly because of Chris Evans, but I don't think the movie is very good. I didn't see Cherry. But why are people hating on them? Like, people are saying with the post-credit scene, oh, Fantastic Four looks so good. Then you get to that post-credit scene, it looks like crap. No, it doesn't. Shut up. It doesn't look bad at all. You get the Thunderbolts. Oh, the movie looks so good with so much style. And then you get the post-credit scene. It looks true. No, it doesn't. I don't get it. Yes, it looks so much different than the other directors, but it still looks great. And even with Doomsday, the way they're setting up Doomsday, it's not like the Infinity Saga. It's not like Thanos where you need to set up where all these stones came from and what his goal is, and he has all these henchmen that you need to set up in the movies. You don't need to set all that up for Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom's a dude from Latveria who wants to stop the Fantastic Four. So, spoilers for Thunderbolts, spoilers for Fantastic Four. If you haven't seen the movies, we're going to spoil the end credit scene. All you need to do, really, is set up all these characters, which you have, with all these solo movies. Set up things in post-credit scene. You don't need to set up a whole lot, but the way that you do in the two movies. So Thunderbolts, it's decided that these are the new Avengers, but Sam now has Avengers. And yeah, it would have been nice to see Sam set up the Avengers, but it's fine, if we discuss that. And he sued them, and so there's a little bit of a rivalry going on there. Sets it up. Now, it's not as good as the setup between Captain America and Iron Man, why they split before the last Avengers movie, but I still think it's good enough setup. And then you need to set up Doctor Doom in Fantastic Four, which you just kind of see him peek there in little peeks of the Latveria chair throughout the entire movie. Like, it's all you need. I already have my theories. I think Doctor Doom's going to kidnap Franklin, and the Fantastic Four are going to go after him, and that's how they are going to go into a different universe, because Doctor Doom goes into a different universe to save Franklin. I think it's pretty obvious where you're going. You set it up perfectly. Why is everybody so mad at it? I don't get it. I think I'm so excited for Doomsday. I think that it's going to be a great movie, and I don't get why you people don't think so. I think the Russos are great. I have all the faith in the Russos that Doomsday is going to be another all-timer MCU movie. But my number one, my biggest hot take, and it always is going to be my biggest hot take because it's World War II or World War III when you get people talking about these two guys. Both Zack Snyder and James Gunn, they're all excellent directors. Come on now. Okay, yeah, Zack Snyder kind of failed with the Rebel Moon movies. Those movies suck. But, I mean, his zombie movies I really like. Dawn of the Dead, Army of the Dead. Think those are some great movies. And then, obviously, the comic book movies. Man of Steel, another big hot take, and this should have been on here, that I don't like Henry Cavill. I don't think Man of Steel is all that great. But I think it's more of a unique DC universe. It doesn't take after the comics, but it's more unique, Where in Batman v Superman, after the events of Man of Steel, you're exploring. Is Superman, should he be allowed to do what he wants? Great battle between Batman and Superman. The whole emotions near the end of the movie really work. And then Zack Snyder's Justice League, which sets up Darkseid. Darkseid comes in and then sets up the rest of the universe. I honestly would love to see more. I would love to see the rest of the Snyderverse play out. I really would. And then you get James Gunn, who did the Guardians trilogy, which is one of the best trilogies in the MCU, with a great emotional first movie. I already said my piece on the second movie, but the third movie just has some awesome stuff. The Suicide Squad, which is one of my favorite DCEU movies and is my favorite James Gunn movie. And then Superman, which is setting up a new DC universe, and I thought it was great. So James Gunn, he has all his James Gunnisms. Zack Snyder, not as good. If I had to pick one, I'd pick James Gunn. I think he's a slightly better director. But I would love to have seen Zack Snyder's universe play out. am going to love to see James Gunn's universe play out. And they're both excellent directors, so stop the bullcrap. Stop arguing over it. They're just directors. We don't need to commit war crimes over two directors, guys. Ridiculous stuff. And that's my biggest hot take, apparently. Because apparently to like two filmmakers that clearly have passion, you gotta be a little pissed off. You gotta be a little spicy. It's stupid. You're stupid if you are going to be against someone. If you're going to go to my comment section and attack me because I like both directors, that's stupid. I don't care. Do what you want. I think this whole argument is stupid because they're both very good directors. All right, folks, that was my top 10 MCU hot takes. Share your hot takes down below in the comment section. And if you would, while you're down there, subscribe, like button, and hit the bell because that Spider-Man trilogy review hopefully is going to come this week. And I would love to see you guys watch it. And with that said, subscribe.